Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. All right, welcome back to the channel. On a previous test, I had this group here where I was shooting 55 grain full metal jacket bullets with 26.1 grains of CFE223 powder. Those were traveling at 3,000 foot per second, and I had an extreme spread of 0.78 and a mean radius of 0.29. So I'm going to run this charge weight again, except this time, instead of using a 55 grain full metal jacket bullet, I'm going to be comparing two 20-shot groups with a 52 grain boat tail hollow point and also with a 52 grain ELD match bullet. Now, to achieve the same velocity, those ask for a 26.2 grain charge weight, but I'm only loading these at 26.1, which is the same velocity that the 55 grain full metal jacket was loaded at. So we're going to compare these, test them, and get back to you with the results. All right, welcome back to the channel. As mentioned, I'm shooting two 20-shot groups using CFE223 powder at 26.1 grains. I'll be shooting two different bullets. I'll be shooting a 52 grain ELD match bullet and a 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet. Both of these are Hornady Bullet. I'll be shooting these at 100 yards. I'll be using Federal Gold Medal Match Primer, and I'm using Hornady Once Fired brass. So I'm going to check these to see which of these two bullets performs better. First, I'll shoot 5 barrel fouling shots to get the barrel warmed up, and then I'll shoot the two 20-shot groups following. And we will measure these with the Hornady 4DOF Ballistics app using the group analysis function. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results at the end. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, let's bring them in and take a look. Okay, I think the boat tail hollow point did a little better. We've got more of a cluster here. This was my very first shot right here, and it was just above the center of my aiming point. But the rest of them clustered pretty well together right here as the barrel heated up. The ELD match shot similarly, but that cluster is a little bit lower, and I had a few low shots here, so that's going to be a larger extreme spread. I suspect the mean radius will be a little bit bigger here, but this looks like my better group here, and I kind of expected the boat tail hollow points to shoot better. I had one failure to chamber. This one, after shooting the other 9 rounds, I reloaded this one and tried to chamber it again, and it would not chamber, which is kind of odd because I check all of these cases with my case gauge before they're loaded, so no clue what happened there, but I'll check that in the case gauge when I get home. But anyway, we will take these home, measure them, and see how they compare. This was my fouling group that I shot first. After I shot the first group, I adjusted these 1 click up, but that's my fouling group, and it looks like the rest of these were shooting pretty much similar. A little bit high, a little bit high, and a little bit to the left. So those shot very similar to that first group. All right, let's take them home, measure them, see how we did. On a previous outing, I was shooting a 55 grain full metal jacket bullet with 26.1 grains of CFE223, and I had an extreme spread on a 10 shot group of 0.78 inches and a mean radius of 0.29 inches. And that was my best group of the day. So with that charge weight, I made the assumption that there would not be much difference between a 55 grain bullet and a 52 grain bullet. However, the shapes of those are different. And as you can see here side by side, here's a picture of a 55 grain full metal jacket, a 52 grain ELD match, and a 52 grain boat tail hollow point. And so you can see the difference in the shape and design. So it's not just 3 grains in difference in weight, but it's also a difference in the bullet design. So these did not shoot as well as I had hoped and expected. All right, so here are my results from the range today. If you see the white tape where I've made some corrections here, it's because of this photo over here, in which when I was measuring my groups with the ballistics app, I accidentally put a shot right here where there wasn't one, and that threw my measurements off. So I had to go back and redo that particular analysis. And here's a photo of the corrected analysis. And as you can see here, this is the center of my average point of impact of all of these shots. This is the 52 grain ELD match. And as you can see here, and when I took it home and measured it, it was 7 thousandths longer than the case gauge. So apparently that one didn't get sized properly, but all of the rest of these chambered just fine and shot well. So in any event, my point of impact was 20 hundredths of an inch to the left and 70 hundredths of an inch high. And I had this set high deliberately so as not to destroy my point of aim. So looking to get this down into the 3s, this mean radius. So 0.51 might be okay for hunting. That's basically a 1 inch group average with 19 shots. But then let's move over here to the 52 grain boat tail hollow point and check this out. I actually adjusted the scope up 1 click to raise that up, and whereas the first group was 0.65 inches above my point of aim, the second group was 1.17 inches above the point of aim. So that 1 click changed my average point of impact by about a half an inch. And also it was shooting 0.41 inches to the left. So we had a pretty nice cluster here, and similarly, we had a few outliers, 5 rounds here that shot a little bit low. So the extreme spread was better at 1.39 inches, and the mean radius was 0.41 inches. This was your average point of impact where this red line intersects here. So with a 0.41 mean radius, you double that, that means your average group size on 20 shots is 0.82 inches. A little bit better performance, so it seems to me that the boat tail hollow point at that charge weight is performing better than the ELD match, considerably better, I think. It's tighter on the extreme spread, and it also has a significant difference in the mean radius. I'm still looking for a mean radius in the 3s, .41, I guess, is respectable because that gives you an average group size of 0.82 inches. But I want to get that down in the 3s or even in the 2s maybe. 4.1 is okay, but I really want to see that tighten up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a ladder test. Obviously, that load, while it was good for the 55 grain full metal jacket, it didn't work quite as well for these two bullets. So I'm going to do a ladder test with that 26.1 grains and maybe load just a little bit on the low side and a little bit on the high side of that. And we will come back and see if we can get those groups to tighten up a bit. All right, so those are my results today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.